Beast of Reincarnation just came out and it looks like a cool game, but it could be better. And we still see some weird choices by the devs, like including and defaulting to FSR1 upscaler in 2026, no matter what hardware you're rocking. So yeah, let's fix it up. Hey guys, welcome back to GeekJ, where we make tech, tutorials and gaming simpler and better. To be able to compare, we have to first take a look at the game in its vanilla state. So let's go ahead and fire up the game and see how it looks and performs. As soon as the game loads up, let's go into the graphics settings over here, so settings and then graphics. The defaults are really weird to say the least. The game has set everything to the medium preset and always sets the upscaler to FSR1 performance mode, so this is kind of a insane choice by the developers. And yeah, needless to say that it is looking horrifically bad, but just to get a taste of how the games decided to ship the game, especially keeping in mind that most people will not bother going into the settings and messing with them, this is a pretty bad decision that I think they need to address as soon as possible. So yeah, just to get a taste, we're gonna hit continue over here. And this is how the game ships. And it doesn't matter what kind of hardware you're gonna test this with, it always looks like this. And they, even if you have a 5090, you can check other YouTubers as well. I have a friend that has a 4090 and he tested the game. It still does the exact same thing. Everything is in medium and then FSR1 and it defaults to performance. So I don't think it matters what kind of hardware you have on your system. It's just a choice they made for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, this is how the game looks. It looks pretty bad. You can see shimmering everywhere. Obviously it's on performance mode. It is still locked on 60 FPS. You have to understand, guys, most people, even if they own a computer, they will not go into the settings. They believe, you hit play, they treat it, especially if they're gamers, they just treat it as a gaming machine. They just click play and they never go into any settings and stuff. But yeah, I digress. Let's move on away from this pretty bad showing. But yeah, moving on to our more, let's say, GeekJ typical benchmarking routine. First of all, I'm gonna do the highest possible settings with ray tracing set to on. And then we will start testing out. Obviously, I'm gonna disable the stuff I don't like if we discover any of them have, toggles in the menu. So ray tracing, let's go with on. There is no other setting. Highest for graphical fidelity, I'm gonna go uncapped. Frame rate cutscenes, we have two options, cinematic and performance. So cinematic is gonna be 24 FPS for a cinematic, as the word says, experience. We're gonna go with performance, which is set to the same FPS as your game settings. VRAM is set to the lowest for some reason. We're gonna go with the highest possible setting over here. As a side note, we do get several upscaling options over here, including TAAU, TSR, AMD FSR1 and AMD FSR3, and we also see the NVIDIA DLSS that is currently grayed out. Sadly, we don't see an XeSS option here, and to add salt to injury, all of these options with the exception of DLSS that we cannot check out for now at least, do not offer a native AA option, as you can see over here. So if I click on this, we get ultra quality, quality, balanced and performance. So we can't really test the anti-aliasing part of the upscalers, unfortunately, unless DLSS unlocks it, which I highly doubt. So let's go with ultra quality because I do want to have, the highest settings possible. And then we see the upscaling sharpness. I'm not going to touch that. We're going to leave it at the 50% option over here. And then we get all these other options. Let's see if we have anything we don't like. I don't like motion blur. I'm going to disable that. And then I'm going to press escape once. I'm going to confirm my changes. Let's kick this off with FSR1 as it is the one selected by default, and to give it the best chance we are going to test this out on ultra quality. And sadly, regardless of the 113, 114 on average FPS, the image is a blurry mess. We get a ton of pixel instability and simmering as well, and the blurriness really surprised me as the upscaling sharpness setting defaults to 50% and we left it there, and it still looks extremely smudgy. Yeah, the smoke trails over there look pretty weird and kind of pixelated, even though this is an 800p or above 800p experience for ultra quality over here. We do get simmering over there in the distance, in all the, tree leaves and stuff. Looks very weird. This is FSR1, so expectations are pretty low, to be honest. The effects over there look, the fire and explosion things look very pixel unstable. There's a lot of simmering. We do get a halo around the tree models, as you can see over there. Kind of a hint of ghosting around the characters as well. But yeah, because this is ultra quality, foliage, especially the grass, does look a little shimmery, but it's not that bad for now. But yeah, let's look how it performs and looks when we set it to performance on the highest graphical setting. So we're gonna go into graphics, then we're gonna go from ultra quality to performance, escape, confirm, go back into the game. Yikes. The performance gain is not really there as we just went up to 139, 140 FPS, but the overall image looks much worse with all the issues we had before with ultra quality looking far worse, but not as horrible as one would expect, if I'm being honest. Either way, I think no one would choose to play like this willingly. I don't know. Yeah, as you can see, very pixelated. The fur of the wolf is like a smudge over here. Yeah, the textures are very, very blurry. Shadows are like 1 pixel or something. Simmering is, yeah, way worse. The smoke trails look a lot more blurry and pixelated, but not that different from the ultra quality. They were pretty bad quality. Anyway, yeah, this is the experience we get. Moving on to TAAU, and we're gonna go with ultra quality first, TAAU, and then ultra quality. And we see an almost identical performance, but very similar issues with the image, with the only exception of the grass looking a bit sharper and holding up a bit better than the FSR1 result. But yeah, shimmering, especially in the foliage, and the blurriness are still there, and there are hints again of kind of a ghosting effect if I move the camera around and you see the character, and it's a bit more pronounced with TAAU. It's an older anti-aliasing temporal solution, so it's not the best. But yeah, in ultra quality it doesn't look half bad. Unfortunately, we do see a little bit of the ghosting affecting the particles a little more. The smoke trails look far blurrier, but not that pixely. They look more noisy, if I'm being honest. But yeah, if we look at the trees over there at the distance, we get a lot of simmering as well. Now let's switch to performance mode so we can check how all of these, upscalers perform basically. We get a bit of a lower performance boost than FSR1, with our averages hovering around 130 FPS, over here 128 to 130 FPS, and the image looks, far worse, which is, normal, with all the issues we had before being exaggerated much more, especially with TAAU. Simmering and pixel instability is worse than FSR1 in performance mode. And in the distance, the smoke effects from the trails in the sky look a lot more blurrier and pixely, worse than FSR1 as well at this point. There's a lot of pixel instability for the stuff in the distance. As you can see over there, the grass looks unstable and shimmery. We can see the shimmering in the tree leaves in the distance, and even in the tree leaves over there in front of us. And behind those effects, we can just see the haloing, and a lot of the effects kind of make everything worse, unfortunately. So let's try this on TSR Ultra Quality now. So this is the first result we see, kind of below the previous results, which were above 115. We are getting maximum around 110 FPS over here in the spawning position of the character, but the image holds up much better in my opinion than the FSR1 and TAAU results we saw just moments ago. Simmering is much less. It's still there, but it's much less prevalent, let's say, but still noticeable, especially in the trees in the distance. Like, we can still see some simmering and some haloing, unfortunately, and we can see the simmering in the distance over there in those trees. I don't know how well this translates in the, YouTube videos because of the extra YouTube compression and stuff, but yeah, I can still see it. I don't see a lot of instability in the grass or at the textures over there. In the far distance, it looks like a deformed, corrupted tree or something. That's what I'm talking about, so you guys have an idea of what exactly I'm talking about. But overall, we get a more stable image, but a lot more blurrier in almost everything except the main character and the companion wolf, basically. I don't know if that's very clear to you as well, but yeah, the wolf and its fur look very, very nice, but all other textures and the image overall is like, again, I will use my famous quote of, I feel like I've smeared a very thin layer of Vaseline all over my monitor, and then I started playing the game. This is how it looks. So yeah, if it's something very close to me, as you can see the ground over here, it looks fine. Other than that, yeah, everything else, let's say 5 meters away from the main character, looks very, very blurry. The effects are okay, but the trails of the smoke from the, falling particles look kind of blurry and noisy, not that pixely though. And the effects over there, like the fire behind the trees, already look pretty weird and very smudgy. So yeah, let's go ahead and switch to TSR performance over here so we can move on with our tests. We're gonna go with performance, escape, confirm, escape again. So setting it to performance mode gives us the least performance boost so far, and I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see the performance boost, which is 120 something instead of the 110 we're getting before. But the image retains a lot of its clarity, and it doesn't really become a smudge fest like our previous options so far for some reason. Obviously it does look blurrier and the simmering is more prevalent, but still it looks much better than the previous 2 options. As you can see, the grass, yes, it's more shimmery, but it's not like a smudge fest. We can see actually a lot of pixelation now on the smoke trails for those particles over there, and you can see in the distance there's a lot more prevalent shimmering in the trees, and the textures look much blurrier, and you can see the pixelation on the shadows and stuff. But other than that, not that great. Like, we can see like the fur doesn't look that great on our companion wolf. The textures on the character look like lower quality, but if we're not moving and the image is static, it looks a lot better than the other options. Now let's test it with a built-in FSR3, and yes, we do have an FSR3 option, so I don't know why They have an FSR1 option as well. We're gonna set it to ultra quality. We're gonna confirm. So pretty much really close to the TSR kind of performance, or you know, any other of the other, you know, initial upscalers, but a little bit lower. But the image looks a bit blurrier than TSR for some reason. But it does seem to retain a little bit more of the details, and the textures look better. But the simmering and pixel stability are a little bit more noticeable than the TSR. But it's not too bad, and I think it's looking a little bit more sharp than the TSR or any of the other options, and it doesn't have that much of a noticeable ghosting, just like TSR over here. So it does look a little bit clearer. We get noisy but clear trail of the smoke over there from those particles. The haloing is still kind of there, not very visible. It's a very thin line now, but it's still there. We do still get shimmering, and the leaves, if they have some kind of effect or a light behind them, look weird, as you can see over there with the smoke and the fire behind that tree. It kind of disappears and reappears. And that corrupted tree in the distance looks okay. It's the clearest I've experienced it so far. So let's switch to the performance mode for this FSR3 built-in upscaler. And at the spawn point, we get around 127, 29, 130 FPS on average. I mean, for performance, it's a nice performance boost, and we are, you know, pushing around the same FPS we were pushing with the better performing upscalers over here. Unfortunately, the quality is much more pixelated, blurry, and the simmering is also way worse than before. On movement, unfortunately, pixelation gets a lot worse, and on the tree leaf textures, we can see that not only the tree leaf textures, but the trunks as well, and other models start haloing pretty badly on performance mode for FSR3, the built-in version. Unfortunately, as you can see over here, this looks pretty bad. The effects are very pixelated over there. Yeah. The worst version of the smoke trails, unfortunately, for built-in FSR3 performance mode. We also get flashing pixels all over the textures for some reason, even behind the trees over there, and we see a lot of shimmering. So not a very good showing for the FSR3, the built-in version over here. The grass looks very, very bad, really close to the FSR1 result. So yeah, very, I think, unoptimized implementation of FSR3 in this game by the developers. And for some insane reason, they thought in 2026 it's a good idea to include FSR1 as well. Very, I think, disappointing experience in general. And even for the main character, you can see we now have simmering on the hat she's wearing. Even though she's very close to the camera, we get those, you know, flashing kind of pixels and shimmering on our companion wolf's fur. Even the ground looks very low resolution. There's a lot of instability and shimmering. So yeah, not a nice showing. So let's exit out of the game. Now that we have a clear image of the vanilla experience the game offers, let's see how we can actually improve it. And to do this, we will use one of this channel's favorite completely open source tools, OptiScaler. Now, to use this tool, we need to first download it, and the easiest and safest way to do this is to visit the official GitHub page. And don't worry, as always, I'll have links for everything in the description below. Now, when we are there, we're gonna scroll a little bit further down over here, and we will be able to see that they clearly have the official Discord server link over here. We're gonna click on it. I've already joined, so after you join, we will have access to the latest beta builds and some test builds that are not available on the GitHub page. Now, once we are in the Discord server, we'll click on this Opti Test Builds text channel over here, and we will download the latest build as of the filming of this video, which is OptiScaler version 0.9.5 pre-1. So we're gonna click on this hot link over here, and then we're gonna download the latest version, as you can see over here. Now, if you're on RX 7000 or RX 9000 series, skip ahead to the timestamp on the screen. But if you're like me and you're on RX 6000 or RDNA 2 series or other officially unsupported hardware that can run FSR4 Int 8 version, then you also need to do these following steps. So now with that out of the way, let's click on the Resources Lite text channel over here, and from the last post we want to click on the DLL re-uploads hot link over here where it says 2 messages, and this will basically take us to the files we need to download, which is this one over here, FSR int 8 402C with RDNA2_fix, and we're gonna download this file as well. With everything we need downloaded, to make my life easier, I usually like to extract the OptiScaler archive in its own folder over here. So I'm gonna do this for the 0.9.5 pre-1 version over here. I'm gonna right click, then show more, and I'm gonna go with 7-zip and then extract to OptiScaler. That means it's going to create its own folder to extract these contained files into. And once that's done, I'm gonna do the same for the FSR int 8 file. So I will just double click on it, then 7-zip file manager will open up, and I'm just gonna drag and drop this little upscaler binary file into the newly created OptiScaler 0.9.5 folder. And if I get a message to replace the file in destination, I will say yes, replace. And now if we just double click, we can see that this leaves us with a ready-made OptiScaler folder that we can copy its contents to any game we want, and it's just ready to go. So with that said, let's copy these files in our game folder. The fastest way to do this is to open up your Steam library, then right-click on the game we're talking about, then go to Manage, and then select Browse Local Files. And then from there, we need to navigate to where the actual game executable is located, which in this game's case is Beast of Reincarnation, the main folder, then Beast of Reincarnation, binaries, and then Win64. Then before we copy everything over, I back up any files that will be overwritten, like the existing AMD_Fidelity_ dx12.dll, as you can see over here. And the way I like to do it is to just rename it and just add the .backup extension to it. So I'm gonna right click, go to rename, go to the end of this, then add a dot and then a backup. Then I'm gonna copy all the files we will need, and everything we don't need I will just deselect. So I'm gonna deselect the setup Linux, the licenses, and this readme stuff over here. Right click on this, copy, then go into the game folder, right click and paste. And as you can see, we didn't see any message to overwrite anything, so we are ready to run the setup_windows.bat. As I always mention in all of my videos, do not just blindly copy my selections. You must select the settings that correspond to your specific hardware. But I digress. So in my case, I will be selecting the dxgi.dll installation method. So I'm going to press 1 and then press enter. Are you using NVIDIA or AMD Intel? I'm using an AMD GPU, so I'm going to go with number 1 again. So if you're on NVIDIA, obviously you select number 2 here. I'm going to press enter. Then I'm going to agree to, the DLSS input usage over here by pressing 1 once again and then press enter. And finally, if you are also prompted to download and install OptiPatcher, then definitely agree to that, as it will eliminate the spoofing performance overhead. So extra performance, good. We're gonna select 1 again for yes, press enter. We're gonna wait for this to finish. And once we see that enjoy over there and press any key to continue, we're going to press any key. I'm going to just press space on our keyboard and the installation is practically done. And with the installation done, let's fire up the game and see how it looks and performs. Now, if you see on the bottom left of the screen the OptiScaler pop-up, that means you installed everything correctly. If you don't see that, you probably did something wrong. Just go back and rewatch the video and you're probably going to be fine. Now, immediately we're going to go into the main menu and we're going to go into the settings, then graphics, and we are going to now be able to select the NVIDIA DLSS that has been exposed. Now, after we click on this, we can check if we have a DLAA option or native option, but sadly we do not. And we will have to make the best we can with the ultra quality. Now we're gonna press escape once to confirm and apply the settings. In the main menu, we're gonna press the insert key on our keyboard and the OptiScaler menu will appear. And from here, under the upscalers, we will select the FSR3.x option, and then we will click on the change upscaler button over here. So let's go on ahead and do that. FSR3.x, then change upscaler. Then we're gonna check under the FFX settings and make sure that the FSR4.0.2c is the active and selected one. If it's not, just select it from this drop-down list and then click on the change upscaler. And lastly, we're gonna click on this save settings button and then the close button. Just make sure you don't forget this save settings and close, otherwise you'll have to redo all of these settings every time you boot up your game, so that's not fun. So now with the setup done, we can test out how the game looks and performs with FSR4 on RDNA 2. And sure enough, we get a very clear and stable image with averages hovering around 107 and 108 FPS. No shimmering, no pixel instability, no haloing. Gameplay feels very, very smooth. It's, yeah, kind of incredible. So let me walk around over here with the ultra quality. I'm gonna press insert on my keyboard one time just so you can see we are upscaling from 832p to 1080p. So this means the upscaler is actually active. Everything looks very, very sharp. We don't see any pixel instability or shimmering over here. Everything looks very, very clear, and the smoke trails look very clear as well, so that is very nice and exciting. No shimmering in the trees in the distance or the ones close to us. No weirdness in the effects over there. Let me deal with this guy over here. And of course, for science, let's switch to performance mode over here and see how it looks and performs with FSR4. We get 120 to 121 FPS on average, and keep in mind I'm recording, so you would probably see like 123 FPS on average, 125 if you were not recording like me, but the image looks amazing pretty much in comparison to all the other built-in options we tested earlier, especially considering we are upscaling from, let's see, I'm gonna press insert, 540p to 1080p. So we get absolutely no shimmering, as you can see over here, no haloing, we see no blurriness. Even the smoke trails look really, really good. So if I look up there, you can see they look really, really good. Of course, there's gonna be some weirdness, but yeah, everything else and the overall image looks insanely good in comparison to all the other upscalers we just tested. And the good thing is even the textures look sharp, and we also get zero ghosting even on performance mode, as you can see over here. Feels very, very smooth. The effects look nice. We don't see any weirdness behind the leaves. We can still see the smoke and stuff. There is obviously a little bit of blurriness and some weirdness going on, but I mean, if you just consider this is an upscale from 540p, this is totally fine and very, very playable. . Now for Beast of Reincarnation, my recommended settings would be to just have ray tracing on, as you can see over here. Set the graphical fidelity preset to the highest and then go with either ultra quality or quality mode on the upscaling over here, whatever gives you the best visuals and performance balance basically, and then just adjust settings to your liking, like I've done with disabling motion blur here in this specific game. So yeah, as you can see, motion blur is off, and yeah, I think that's it for this one, guys. If this helped you get a cleaner, smoother Beast of Reincarnation experience, smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a GeekJ video. If you want to take it further, consider joining the GeekJ squad for early access, exclusive perks, and shoutouts. And yeah, you can also drop a super thanks if you're feeling generous. Massive shoutout to my channel architects, Paris STR and Kostas Dari. You guys are and forever remain legends. Drop your results in the comments below. I read every single one of them. And yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.